Hello, everybody. Good evening. What day is it today? It is Thursday in Kate Week. I've just remembered that it's Kate Week in Patholight Thrive Hive this week because 2 days ago we had another Kate as a special guest talking all about the route map out of lockdown. And tonight we have another wonderful special guest, Kate, who is Kate Sassanelli. She's a wellbeing coach and a yoga instructor. And she has experienced over 20 years of mental health issues, including panic attacks and depression and anxiety. Kate's going to share her recovery journey with us this evening, which is very inspiring. And I hope you'll find it useful, educational, inspiring, and connecting, and all of that good stuff. Because the more we talk about these things, the more normalized they can become, and people tend to connect with some of these guests and what they say, and it can help us recognize things in ourselves as well, hopefully. So anyway, you'll get whatever you get from it. I hope you enjoy it. So just before we get Kate into the studio, if you have any questions or comments, they don't have to be questions, you can just make a comment. You can just pop them in the box beneath where you can see our little faces. If there are any questions, then Kate has kindly agreed to answer them as we go through this evening. So feel free to interact. It's good to know who's there and what's going on for you. And if you want us to know who you are when you're submitting your comments and questions, you can go to this little link here, streamyard.com/Facebook, and that will give StreamYard permission to use your name and your little profile photo so we can see who it is making the comment. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. Maybe you can just type your name in before you type your question or your comment so that we can respond to you by name. It's a bit more personal that way. And if you are enjoying the Hive, maybe you would like to help to make it sustainable by sending some wonga my way. That would be much appreciated. Thank you very much for all those who have donated or subscribed already. You can do so at buymeacoffee.com/thrivehive. Drop me £3 at the end of tonight's show if you get something out of it, or subscribe for £7 a month and get lots of lovely discounts off mental health first aid courses and all sorts of other lovely benefits, and a warm glow for doing something good, giving something back. So thanks to everyone who's done that already, as I say. And finally, if you'd like to share the group with your network, please do so. As long as they're lovely people who are not going to be nasty and troll people, bring them in. So just invite them or publicize the group on your Facebook page, whatever you want to do. Marvelous stuff. Okie dokie, that's enough of that. And we'll bring Kate into the studio. So welcome, Kate Sassanelli, and thank you for being in Patholight Thrive Hive.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for having me. It's so nice to be here. And I love the official welcome back into the studio.
And you magically appear. It's wonderful stuff, isn't it?
Very clever. I love the fact that a few minutes ago it said I'm backstage. I was like, oh, this is good.
You're in the green room. Wonderful. Okay, so I pre-warned you about 2 standard questions that I ask all of my guests, but there's a new one which I'm going to drop on you without any warning. But don't worry, hopefully it's an easy question, because you know how people generally say, "How are you?" and people say, "I'm fine. How are you?" and they say, "I'm fine." Well, I like to kind of go a bit deeper and find out how people really are, because then they can talk about what's really going on for them. And I don't know if you've heard of it's a kind of Indian proverb, if that's the right word, about the 4 rooms. Each of us are like a house with 4 rooms.
Okay.
And those rooms are the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and the physical. And the idea is that we need to go into each of those 4 rooms every day, even if to just give them an airing, so that we can be a nice, balanced, holistic human being. So I'm going to ask you, Kate, if it's okay, how are your 4 rooms today? So how are you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically today?
Okay, I'll start with the easiest one. Physically, I'm pretty fit. Yeah, I'm okay. Thursday is the only day that I don't teach any classes. So I have to kind of make a bit of an extra effort to do some movement and exercise. So I do my usual kind of little 10-15 minute movement thing in the morning. bit of a stretch, bit of a wake up, bit of a mobilize. And today I went for a little bit of a stroll. So physically, I feel great. A little bit tired. It's been a bit of a hectic day. I feel like today I've had my first day, a full day proper working on the candle business today. So it's been quite mind blowing, to be honest. Emotionally, I'm a little bit anxious now. Again, I've been totally distracted all day because I've been so busy. So that's been good. And then I was just saying to you earlier, I've had an hour to kind of pause and think. And it's never good when I pause and think. It's great when I pause and don't think, but it's not good when I pause and think. So I've had a few waves of like nervousness, but I'm already starting to relax, which is fine. Spiritually, yeah, I'm pretty good in that room as well, to be honest. I practice that kind of my spiritual side just normally, naturally. So that's a tick in that room, I think. And what was the fourth one? Emotionally, spiritually, physically? Mentally. Again, I'm all right. Yeah, I'm strong mentally. A little bit tired. Anxiety's fading away. Overall, in all of the rooms, we're probably between an 8 and a 10. So I think it's pretty good.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I like the scaling out of 10 as well. That's good. That appeals to my mathematical side. Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm mathematical, so a scale is good.
Excellent. Okay, thank you for that. And apologies for dropping that on you without any warning.
Don't worry.
So next question is, how has the whole pandemic situation been for you? It's a year now. How's it been?
No, that's a bit mad that it's a year. And there's a lot of memories that have popped up over the last couple of weeks from last year. And I can't believe that those things were 12 months ago. And at the time, we didn't really have any clue of what was going to come. So the pandemic, it's been reasonably kind, to be honest. I've probably got a lot less complaints than maybe the average person, maybe most people, to be honest. I could complain. I could complain financially. I could complain that I've not seen people that I really, really, really miss. But if I'm very much a focus on the positives, if I focus on the positives, there's been a lot that's come from it. I have grown massively in resilience, strength, determination, ambition, mentally, emotionally. I feel like I've overcome loads of little challenges that I wouldn't have experienced without the pandemic. So straight away, I took my yoga classes online without ever doing anything like that before. So I had no clue how to teach yoga online. And within the space of a couple of days, I was set up on Zoom. And then over a few more weeks, I sort of had lighting, a microphone, etc., etc. So it's something I wanted to do, but I've been too afraid to do it. And with the pandemic landing, I had no choice but to do it. So that was massive. From that, I have met so many new people from all around the country and all around the world, people that I wouldn't have been able to reach without this happening. So that's a massive tick. I've cut things out of my life, which would not have been cut out if this hadn't happened. So I'm doing less travel, which is not only amazing for myself, but also amazing for the environment. So I'm really pleased that I've reduced my carbon footprint massively. I've saved some money as well, actually, by not eating out so often, so that I'm not going on holiday. So that's a bit of a tick. But there are definitely things I've missed, and I have realised that in a good way, there are a lot less things I need in my life, a lot less things. I'm very much all about the simple life now moving forward. But the three big things I've missed are my parents. I'm really close with my mum and dad, and I've not hugged them for nearly 12 months. So that is quite sad and difficult for me. And even though they popped around like yesterday to drop off a couple of bits, and they stand outside the door, and it's quite difficult. And particularly these last few months, that's become even harder for me, really. We're a very close family, so I've missed seeing my brothers as well. I have missed in-person classes massively, like hugely. I love it online, and it's brought me loads of amazing stuff, but I just miss the whole interaction and hearing people moan at me, even in the class. So I miss that. And the third thing I've missed is actually sitting down in a coffee shop and drinking coffee out of a porcelain cup. And they're the only three things I want to return to my life, to be honest. So I have cut so much stuff, like pointless stuff, out, and I just want those three things back. And as soon as those three things come back, then life is magic. So yeah, so there's been a few things that have been niggles, but overall, I am not complaining. I'm very much even the challenges, even the really rubbish times, I will search out a positive. So I feel like I've done that pretty well over the last 12 months. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And like most people I speak to, it sounds like ups and downs. So you've gone out of your comfort zone, you've done things that perhaps you wouldn't have done, and branched out and found new ways of being and new ways of growing your business. And also done a bit of a life audit, got rid of some of the stuff that you don't need, and noticed the important stuff, which is the stuff that you're missing and craving for now.
Yeah, that's it. The important stuff. To be honest, it's been quite exhausting. Like, even though I've been working at home and I'm a real home bird, I love my home. For me, it's my safe place, and I'm really fortunate that I get to call it that. There's been times of loneliness, but I'm also very good at, I quite like my own company, so I can work around that loneliness. But it has been at the same time a bit exhausting, and I don't know if that's because there's been a lot of the same going on. But I remember at Christmas last year, when I stopped teaching, I took 3 weeks off from teaching, and I finished my last class and just burst into tears, and I just felt exhausted. And when I looked back, I thought, why do I feel so tired? Like, I've not been anywhere. I've hardly done anything that I would normally do. It was because I'd not had any time off. I took a week off in November, but I studied for the whole week. So it was like mentally tasking. And that in itself has kind of taught me something for this year coming. Because even though I know that things are going to get a bit back to normal and I'm going to be going out places and seeing people, it's really made me put me first. And I teach that. I tell everybody that in my classes, like, it's all about you. Even if you've got children or a husband or pets, you should be at the top of your list, whatever is going on. And sometimes I forget to practice what I preach. So this year already, I've plotted out weeks, sort of every 3 months, I think it works out, to take a full week off. And I'm really quite excited about that already, to take a full week off and either just be at home and do nothing, or maybe go away. And I'm not too worried about having that time off either. I'm not thinking, I should be working. I'm thinking it'll be quite nice to have time off, because I can fill up my well so that I can come back and, feel refreshed and give more to everybody else. So even the exhaustion of last year has taught me a lesson for this year.
So you strike me as the type of person who really takes the positive learning out of challenges, and you're walking the walk there with the self-care trumpet, which is great. Okay, so last standard question, and I think you've kind of touched on this already, but what do you love? What are your passions, Kate?
This might take like the whole hour. I've got quite a few passions. My biggest passion is yoga and movement. That is where my heart, probably 95% of my heart lies. It's huge in my life, massively, for the physical side, but also for the mental and the emotional benefits that come with it. I love exercise in general. At some point, maybe 12 months ago, or even 6 months ago, I would have said I'm a gym freak. I've had a gym membership from the age of 16, so as soon as I realistically could get one, and I've religiously been at the gym. I was always known as the person at 6 a.m. queuing outside the gym for it to open. And the last 12 months, I'm not too sure if I'm going to be a gym freak moving forward. I have absolutely loved getting back out into nature, and just I'm a bit of a runner as well, but not even running, not even the hardcore stuff, just going out for a walk and looking around and listening. And I'm a massive fan of podcasts. So several times in the week, even if it's a 20-minute walk around the block, I will find a podcast that will fill my time, or a couple of podcasts that will fill my time while I'm out. So I love that. And that's something that's been sort of introduced over the last 12 months. I like everything that comes with yoga and movement, the meditation, the spiritual side, the breathing, the education and the learning that I kind of reach out for or search out for. I love to read. I'm an avid reader, whether it's a self-help book, whether it's a book that will educate me for my businesses, or whether it's a real lovey-dovey romantic fiction story. So I'm reading some great books. It's a series at the moment called The Sen Sisters, and it's about 7 daughters. Well, it's actually 6 daughters that are adopted by a really wealthy guy, and each one of them is named after a star or something to do with like stars and moons. And I just love it. And I find myself laying in bed going through a roller coaster of emotions, of laughing and then crying. And so I love reading. I love like getting totally involved in a story that you really feel it and you can really visualize it. And probably my other passion is cats. I'm a crazy cat lady, proud crazy cat lady. I don't have 2 cats have me. So 2 cats. They are apart from my husband, who is a massive part of my life, my cats are my absolute babies. I just love the bones of them. I just love animals in general, really. Everything down to sort of your bees and your spiders. And I regularly walk through Dobcross and the sheep come running over and you'll find me stroking the sheep. I just love animals in general, but cats are my absolute favourite. So yeah, that's probably the majority of my passions.
Lovely. Thank you. And I can feel the passion as you describe all of those things. Wonderful. Okay, so let's get into your mental health journey then, Kate. So really we're here today to get to know you, but also to get to know what your challenges have been around anxiety, depression, panic disorder, and then, excuse me, and then going into the recovery journey and how you've managed that and what you've learned from it, I suppose. So do you want to tell us a bit of a backstory of how your mental ill health developed and how you experienced it, if that's okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So it probably, I mean, now we look back, particularly with my husband. I've been with my husband 18 years this year. And we look back sort of even before I was with him, when I was in college, that it's highly likely I was suffering with some kind of mental health back in college. And I know that because obviously as a student, you go out a lot partying and drinking, or I certainly did. I was pretty terrible for it. And we used to go out sort of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in college. I probably shouldn't be saying this, should I? Because I was only sort of 17, 18. I'm totally illegal.
It's totally normal.
It's the norm, absolutely. And we used to get ready with the girls, and I had some amazing girlfriends in college. And I would be sick every time before we went out. And I had no idea what it was. Like I couldn't put it down to anything, but I would feel physically sick and I would most likely be sick. And then I'd be fine and we'd go out drinking and not think anything of it. And I probably think the alcohol kind of like took over the emotional feelings of it, and then you start to relax and dance and get into the evening and you forget about it and you go out the next night or the night after that, and it's the same circle again. So when I look back, I think it started when I was about 16, 17. Can't really tell you why or what from. I just know what was happening and the feelings that came with that. It really came to light. We knew something had to be done about whatever was going on. We still couldn't put a word to it when I went on holiday with my husband and a group of friends, 2 other couples. We went to Portugal and we hired a beautiful house. And we went out one evening for dinner and I just didn't feel quite right. I felt like ill. And I thought, oh God, I must be ill. And we sat down for dinner and I just went into this absolute blind panic. And I can remember where I was sitting and everything. I just got this like overwhelming nausea. I burst into tears. It was as if like a bomb had gone off inside me and I had no control over what was going on. And all I wanted to do was get out of my seat and run as far away from that place as I possibly could. And I remember standing over like on the beach, like just leaning on a railing. And me and my husband, we were just like, what is going on? Like, what is this? And it was horrific. It was absolutely awful. And in my head, it ruined the rest of the holiday because I pretty much didn't go out for dinner again for the whole week. And I felt like an absolute burden to all my friends. I just felt like I'd ruined it for everybody, really. I was okay during the day. And then it was when it started to go dark at night and I knew I was going out for dinner and I'd just get this horrendous out of control panic. And I would think, if I'm going to a restaurant, I'm not hungry, I don't want anything, I don't want to look stupid. And that's probably the first really obvious memory of it. And then to be honest, I can't really remember what I did about it at that time. I was only sort of, so maybe 20, 21, maybe not even 21, 19, 20 maybe. And over the years, it was up and down, and the majority of things that affected was the good things, going out for dinner in an evening. They were the main things. And we tried to wonder, is it something to do with eating? Is this an eating disorder? Am I afraid of the dark? Just all these crazy, like, what's going on? And I just dealt with it. Like, I just seemed to manage it and go through phases. And it's so mad when I think back to several years that I actually think I've locked a lot of it in a room and turned the key and I can't really picture so much. I can just remember key moments of panic attacks or anxieties or key events where something happened that is stuck in my head. I got married and I seemed to be fine sort of the 12 months before getting married. I think because I was so distracted planning a wedding, and I loved planning a wedding. If I could be a wedding planner, I'd be a wedding planner. And then just before we got married, so this was 2011, I remember speaking to the priest in the church, like me and Gino spoke to the priest and we said, look, this is me. I have panic attacks, like randomly out of the blue. I can sometimes feel them coming on. Sometimes I can't feel them coming on and I will just be a complete like explosion. So if on the day of the wedding, for any reason, I can't walk down the aisle, we need a plan. And the vicar was just absolutely hilarious. He was brilliant, a real Irish Catholic vicar. He was just amazing. And we had this huge plan in place for the day of the wedding that if for any reason I was going through an absolute meltdown, we would get married in the back, like out of the eyesight of everybody. And then we might do one thing in front of everybody at the end of it. And that would be that. So we had this plan B, and I was like, okay, fine, plan B. On the morning of the wedding, I got up at 5 a.m. I went for a run around Lake Windermere because we got married in the Lake District. And I felt on top of the world. And I remember walking down the aisle to Gino. I was actually telling my bridesmaids, girls, you're making such a mess of this space. We need to tidy up before I get married. That's the OCD in me. And I remember walking down the aisle, and I got to the top of the aisle, and Gino just looked at me like this really weird look. And he said, have you taken something? Because I was in such a good place that he was like, have you taken some drugs? Because you're meant to have had a meltdown by now. And I was just like, I was just absolutely in such a great place. And for a while after we got married, maybe 12 months or so, nothing seemed to happen. I was pretty much absolutely fine. And then things started to build up again, and we can never find a trigger. And it was about 2014, I think, when, in fact, it was when I was 30. So it was 2015. It was my 30th birthday. A couple of months after my 30th birthday, I had to be signed off sick from work. And that was the big, like, okay, there's something definitely going on. I actually need to do something about this because it's affecting my life. So I was teaching yoga as well at the time, and I had to stop teaching for a couple of months. I was signed off work, and I was put on medication, and it was something that I absolutely did not want to do. I was given all sorts of medication, and I tried medication earlier, but like mild things just to take as and when. But this was like, you've got to go on this medication. You've got to take this could be the rest of your life, but this is how we move forward with it. And that was when I thought, I really need to do something about this. I'm not just going to rely on medication. I need to educate myself. I need to learn about what's going on in my head. And I want to manage this in a different way. So that was when, in fact, I lie. I can't even remember if I think I was teaching. I'm sure I must have been teaching. The years are just all muddled into one, to be honest, around this time. But that was when I really started to get into my own yoga practice, like obsessive into it. And I thought, there's something about this practice that is working. I need to stick at it. I need to become consistent with it, along with the medication, which kind of leveled you out and cut all of your thoughts off. What can I do to deal with this moving forwards? So I read a lot. I educated myself on the illness. What were the feelings in my stomach? Why was I feeling sick? And the way I kind of started to come out of it was thinking about everything on a logic level. So the pains in my stomach was my digestive system shutting down because my body was going into this fight or flight mode. And when your body goes into that, it doesn't necessarily need your digestive system, so it shuts it down. So the stomach pains, the feeling sick was all of this natural thing going on in your body. But because you don't at the time realize it's natural, your mind starts telling you there's something wrong here, you know, you're going to be sick or whatever. And then all these crazy thoughts start going off in your head. And over time, with the help of medication, with the help of a consistent yoga practice, with the help of therapy, CBT, educating myself, I slowly started to accept what was going on and the fact that I couldn't ignore it any longer. It was part of me. And how could I build myself up to deal with this moving forward. And over time, I call it my toolbox. I was adding more and more things to my toolbox, and I was using the tools. And over time, I kind of built up this resilience. So much so that yoga was that important in my life, yoga and movement, and the amazing stuff that was coming from it. So then I would test myself then, and I would be like, okay, we'll go out for dinner on Saturday night with a group of people. Let's see what happens. And I wouldn't have a panic attack. And I'd be like, oh, okay. That's one tick. That's one bit of evidence that I can go out in an evening and not have a panic attack. And I'd just keep challenging myself with little things that would scare me, would cause a bit of anxiety. I'd just keep pushing the boundaries. I suppose it's a bit like a child, just pushing those boundaries to see how much they can get away with. That's what I was doing with my anxiety and my panic attacks. I was pushing the boundaries to see how much I could do and not go into a complete meltdown. And when your mind then starts to realize you can do this and you've not had a panic attack, you kind of build up that resilience, and the monsters start fading away because they think, oh, we can't get her because she can deal with going out for dinner on a Saturday night now. So let's find something else that we can get her with. And don't get me wrong, this was an absolute not a cure, because like I said to you before, I've been feeling for the last hour like waves of anxiety again. But I had the tools to kind of go, okay, what do I need to do now to let this pass? I realized that I'm not the only one that has this in their life. My brothers both suffer with mental health issues. Even my mum has opened up with stories from her past about things that potentially could be mental health issues. And once I started to talk about it and start to open up about it, there's so many people that come to you and say, oh my God, you're describing exactly how I'm feeling. And then you start to go, oh, I'm not the only one. Like, I am normal. And I love the fact that celebrities talk about it. Like, there was some people that I looked up to celebrity wise, and they would say, you know, oh, I can't go on a stage without a panic attack. And I'm like, no way. They can do something as big as that and they feel like me. And it just all adds to this whole vision of, oh my God, I can totally do this. This is not going to ruin my life. This is not going to control my life. And that's how I kind of crawled myself out of a horrendous place. At my absolute lowest, when I was signed off work, my parents came round every evening. Obviously, I had Gino. He was actually studying at the time to become a personal trainer. So he was full on head in the books. And my parents came round every evening to try and get me to eat something. And I just remember sat on the sofa, curled in a little ball, with my parents just like holding on to me for 2 hours while I just cried. I didn't sleep. I was taking medication to help me sleep. Some days I couldn't even get out of bed. For a long time, I couldn't leave the house. They were probably like the darkest days. I've even told my husband knew that I had horrendous thoughts in my head at the time that the world would be better off without me. His life would be a lot easier without me. So we've even been in that really dark patch. And I just started crawling out of it over time, thanks to the tools in my toolbox. And the biggest tool being my yoga and movement. Without a doubt, it has saved me. And realizing how amazing it is for mental health, I realized that I need to get this out in the world to other people. So I need to teach it. I need to share what I know to help other people. That's why I do what I do.
And it's great that you're here, Kate, because you talked about celebrities who, I don't know if coming out is the right word really, but they they speak of their own mental health challenges, and that normalizes it. It helps to normalize it, and many people think, gosh, if that singer or film star or royal person, whatever they are, in their position can experience mental ill health, then so can I. And it's wonderful that they do that, but it's also wonderful that you're doing it, because it can normalize it for all of the people in your network, in my network, anyone who's watching this, and just feel, yeah, actually, I recognize some of those symptoms, and I'm not alone. So thank you. I want to go back. There's lots of wonderful stuff that you said there, Kate. I want to go all the way back to when you were on holiday in Portugal and you had that first panic attack, if that's what it was. And something really struck me about that tale, which was you perceiving yourself as, oh my goodness, I'm a burden. I can't even go out for dinner. I'm ruining the holiday. I'm ruining everyone's experience. And I think that is really important for any mental health issue, because very often we do see ourselves as a problem and a burden, and we either isolate ourselves or we withdraw from social situations, or just start getting depressed. Like you said, you had kind of suicidal ideation of, would the world be a better place without me? Would my husband be better off without me? So that guilt and shame that we can burden ourselves with in seeing ourselves as a burden is a real barrier to seeking help and to recovery. So how has that played out throughout the past 20 years with you, and how have you managed to overcome that, if indeed you have?
I'm really fortunate. My husband is my absolute rock. I'm probably going to get emotional when I talk about my husband. He is, oh God, he's just my dream. I probably don't tell him this enough. I am going to get emotional. But at my worst times, there were people around him that were saying, get rid of me. Like, you don't need to put up with her, and I totally get that. We were young. We were really, really young. I mean, he was 23 when he got with me, so it's really, really young. And it was like it was not widely talked about, and not widely, I don't really remember knowing anybody at the time that like had anything like me. I felt like I was totally on my own, and I was the first person to go through this sort of stuff. So it doesn't surprise me now that people did say, oh my God, like, she's crazy. Like, you can't even leave the house on a Saturday night. Like, how can you live like that? And now I look at it and think, like, those thoughts are normal. And he pushed past all of that and stuck with me. So I'm so thankful to him. Like, even now, when I have my moments, because I'm absolutely not cured, I never will be cured. I just manage my mental health very well. He even knows before me now when I'm feeling a little bit out of sorts. So when he got home tonight, he was kind of like, babe, how are you? And I'm like, I'm okay. And he was like, okay, are you nervous? And I'm like, yeah, I'm nervous. I was like, in fact, I've got waves of anxiety, which I've not had for quite some time. And he was like, but you can do this. So without him, I don't think I would be where I am. I've got amazing support from my mum and dad, albeit they're a little bit older parents. They're in their 70s. And when it all first happened, I don't even think they really kind of got it. Like, I don't think they really understood. They were obviously stressed and worried about me, but they didn't kind of get it. And both my brothers are just amazing, and their partners are amazing. So family-wise, like, I could not ask for better people around me. But then since I've opened up about my issues, and definitely since I've got into my yoga, my God, there are so many amazing people in my life. Even this afternoon, I've had messages from people saying, good luck for tonight, like, I'll be watching, I've got your back. And some of these people I have known for a handful of months, like weeks. And I just think, God, if I wasn't a yoga teacher, I would not have these people in my life. I've met them through teaching, through going on courses or going on workshops, or through social media, through my own platforms. So I'm really lucky that I've got a lot of people around me. I know not everyone is like that. I know not everybody has that support around them. And it's really hard to say, don't feel like a burden. It's because when you're in this horrendous fog and you think you're a burden, you can't look past it. You can't look past the fact that you're not a burden. And even when people tell you, talk to me, ring me, any time of day, any time of night, and I say that to so many people, like, I even think they think like, oh, I don't want to bother Kate. Oh, I don't want to message her. She's busy. She's got loads to do. When it comes to mental health, I don't care if I'm on holiday, lay on a sun lounger. I have all the time in the world to be there for other people, strangers, people I don't know, when it comes to mental health, because I know how much of a relief just talking to somebody about it brings. So I always recommend therapy, although it's quite difficult for people to talk. I think therapy is amazing because you can talk to somebody that you don't really know, and they don't take anything home with them because that's their job. And they tend to have a fair good few words to kind of share with you, or some tools to add to your toolbox. And I just think starting to talk and helps you realize that, do you know what, I'm not a burden because somebody's listened to me. And with everything in life, I just think, give it a go. Like, if you're absolutely petrified of talking to somebody, just give it a go and see if it makes a difference. So I don't think I could say anything to tell anybody that, I know you think you're a burden, but you're absolutely not. It's not until you realize that for yourself, or somebody else like reiterates it to you, that you're not a burden. So it's quite a difficult one, that, really. Tap into groups or tap into people in the well-being world, the mental health world, the people that do it as part of their jobs, the people that are in those circles, particularly in the yoga world. There are a lot of people who start a practice for mental purposes, not for physical. You will find regularly that there is a large percentage of people who do yoga that understand or have at least experienced a little bit of mental health issues. So that's a great industry to reach out to and just tap your toe, dip your toe in the water and talk to somebody. But yeah, it's a difficult one because I definitely felt like a real burden, but I was young, and there was things going on around me that made me think I was even more of a burden. And it's not until you build your own inner strength that you then can look past that and push past it. And now when I look back at some of the people that said those things, they've experienced mental health issues themselves. And they've come and spoke to me about things, and they've said, oh God, what do I do about these feelings, or what's going on in my head? And I just think it was down to being young, having different priorities, and not really knowing what mental health is or what issues are. So yeah, I remember saying and I still say it to this day, I don't wish a mental health issue on anybody, but I would like everyone to experience one panic attack in their life. I think if you experience a panic attack, your view on mental health and those people who suffer with it will change completely, because you will actually experience how horrific it is to have a panic attack. Just one. Just to see what actually goes on in your mind, in your heart, in your head. And I just think it makes people look at mental health in a different light.
And yeah, I think that could be extended to pretty much any mental health issue. And
oh yeah,
as you spoken about in the wellbeing professions like yoga or counselling, very many people in that space are wounded healers. So they've been there and they know what it's like, so they can empathise.
yeah.
So yeah, again, there's loads I want to pick up on there, but we've had some comments in from Michelle. Sorry, Michelle, that I didn't spot these earlier. So
yeah, I've just seen.
Great conversation, and yeah, brave share, and thank you for getting emotional. I just want to give a shout out to Gino Sassanelli, who I've never met, but clearly he's a rock and he's a wonderful human being.
Hear him like creeping around upstairs. His favourite football team's playing tonight, so he's occupied. But I imagine he's probably sneaking up to bed anytime soon, especially if the football's not going his way. We're both quite early birds, you see. We both like to get in bed and read before we go to sleep. So I imagine he's probably sneaking up to bed at some point.
Okay, yeah. So that's it's great that you've got Gino there and the rest of your family around you as support as well. So Michelle's saying it's fantastic to see people of all backgrounds talk bravely about their experiences. I am of a generation that just didn't accept, acknowledge, or support any kind of mental health challenge. It was such a damaging approach and attitude that has left scars on a whole generation. Yeah, I can resonate with that. And yeah, awareness is key, first of all, and talking about it is where the healing comes in, isn't it? And that's what we're doing here. And another one from Michelle is people always have the option to say no, so we should always be brave enough to reach out. I'm definitely a work in progress myself when it comes to doing that. So how about you, Kate? Actually, I'm going to ask you that in a minute because I wanted to pick up on your toolbox, just to kind of reiterate the positive strategies that you discovered and have relied upon throughout your recovery. So I've noted down a few of the things here. So yoga and movement has got to be up there near the top of the list, one of your passions you spoke about earlier. Acceptance, just embracing, as you said, Kate, that I might never recover fully from this, but it just depends how you define recovery, I suppose. You know, the mental health first aid courses I teach, we say that recovery isn't necessarily about getting back to where you were before you experienced the mental health issue. It's not necessarily about being free of symptoms, but it's about living well despite your diagnosis or despite your experiences. So yeah, it feels to me like you've embraced that. You've embraced this as part of you, and that's part of the journey. So medication, which for some people can be helpful, especially to get over a difficult hump. I don't think it's just the only answer because it looks at the symptoms rather than the cause, but it can be very helpful. Therapy, as you've spoken about, I don't need to bang on about that as a trainee psychotherapist. And the last one being support. So you've got Gino, you've got your family, you've got your friends and your wider network there, which, just talking about it, getting support from non-judgmental people who can be there for you sounds like have I missed anything out from your toolbox there, Kate?
I'd say the biggest thing is the acceptance. That's huge, just to accept that this is a part of me. And I loved how you said your recovery, a recovery isn't necessarily going back to the person you were before, because if I'm honest, I don't want to go back to the person I was before. I was nowhere near as nice as I am now. I was pretty awful, to be honest. I tend to say I was a bitch. I would judge people. I would comment on people. I wasn't a pleasant person, and now I am so far from that. It's unbelievable. I'm like genuinely proud to say I am so much of a nicer person, kinder, caring, considerate, open, aware. Yeah, so I definitely don't want to go back to the person I was before. I'm very thankful for my mental health issues. That was another part of the acceptance, because of the person I've become rather than the person I was before. There's little tiny kind of secondary tools within the yoga and movement, like breathing techniques, which I think are way up there, and they're free. They can be done at any time. Meditation, mindfulness, kind of tapping into the present moment, either externally or internally. So there's little tools as part of that as well that are all free, take just a few minutes to kind of feel the benefits. But no, and you're right about medication. I don't believe that medication is something that is a permanent fix. It can be if you want it to be. It certainly can be something that's permanent in your life. I was on medication for a very long time, since, God, probably nearly 10 years, really. And I came off it at one point for about 3 months, just before I had like my major kind of moment before around my 30th. I came off medication around then. I came off it again a few years later and had to go back on it. And I came off it again in November, just gone, middle of a pandemic, absolutely crazy, most people would say. Because I then feel that a light went off in my mind. I was on a course, a yoga course, a yin yoga course, and it's that yin yoga course that stopped me from taking my medication. Something just happened one day whilst I was in the course, and I think it must have been something the teacher said, and I just thought, I don't need this medication. So I came off it in November officially, and touch wood, I'm still off it. So I'm hoping that's probably why I'm emotion. I've not had emotion for years. And when I cried just before Christmas at the end of my classes, and I cried at something I was watching on TV, it was probably some like Planet Earth program. I cry really bad at things like that. And Gino turned around to me and said, wow, that medication really was good, because you've not cried for years. So yeah, I'm quite liking my emotions coming back. I'm quite liking feeling tears on my skin, because I've not had that for so many years. But I have no issues with going back on medication if I need it. I say, for me, it was something that sorted out the physical sensations for me to then deal with the whole, okay, how do we manage this long term? So it was about the education. Education's a big one in the toolbox as well. Actually reading up on what you've been diagnosed with, like reading books and reading about other people's stories and other people's experiences. That was probably a really big thing for me. Mm-hmm. But I have a quote that is, when your mental health is strong, work hard to make it stronger. So I believe that when you're in a really good place, that's when you can put your all into making that good place more of a permanent thing. So that's when I really get my reading and my education done, because I feel like that's when I can actually take it on board. Because when you're in a dark place, or you're having, moments of anxiety and panic, to sit down and read a self-help book is probably the last thing in the world that you want to do. Like, you will not take it in. Go and do things that require no thinking, that maybe subconsciously you tap into your body or your mind without really knowing about it. So that was like the yoga, the breathing, the meditation. That was all the stuff that worked wonders when I was going through those hellish moments. When I'm in the good times, I read, I educate, I learn more about just the science behind it, all of that sort of stuff, really. And that's what's massively helped me as well.
Yeah. So knowing when you're in a space to be able to build your resilience further, which is great. Yeah, and the acceptance, as you say, is key. Excuse me, got a frog in my throat this evening. Yeah, I wanted to go back to Michelle's question about, or comments really, about having the option to say no and being brave enough to reach out. So it sounds like you have got some boundaries. You've done that life audit we talked about earlier and said, yeah, do you know what, that's not important, I'm getting rid of that. And also that you've opened up, you've reached out for help, which was a key part in your recovery. So moving on to it's all been very inspiring, this, Kate, but now, let's kind of bring up to date to now. And when we spoke the other week to trail this talk this evening, you spoke about how you left your job and have started up your own business. And today was the first day with the candles being full on and all of that. So that must have taken some courage to do that, as you say, in the middle of a pandemic, as well as coming off your medication. So there's trust there. I sense a lot of trust in you, that you're following your heart and the universe is delivering, and you're going down this path, and that you will be successful in spite of all of these challenges that are in you and around you.
Yeah. I love the fact in Michelle's comments, she's mentioned the word brave twice. I actually had a tattoo at Christmas on my arm that says, I am brave. And it's the only tattoo that I can see. I've got a couple, and it's the only one that I can see on a daily basis, as a reminder that, yeah, you're brave. I have two phrases in my life. I am brave, and God only gives us what we can handle. And I'm not religious. My mum would, if my mum watches this, she'll be devastated. In the Catholic faith, so there is a bit of religion in me. But then I went to a school that had lots of different religions, and I was curious, and I was like, oh well, you know. So my kind of religion has faded slightly, but I've picked up other things along the way that necessarily doesn't follow a particular God as such. But I absolutely love the phrase, God only gives us what we can handle. And I say it all the time. And I say it to Gino all the time. When he's having a bad day, I'm going, just remember, God only gives you what you can handle. Because I totally believe it. Like, I do believe in a God. Absolutely. There is something, someone out there, whether, you know, whatever that God looks like, everyone takes that in a different way. So I love the word brave, because that was a big thing for me to make that decision to leave my corporate job. I'm a real corporate bod. I've had a job since I was 16, part-time, albeit, when I was studying. I've got pretty impressive work ethics. That's what I believe anyway. I'm very committed to my jobs. And this particular job I've been in for nearly 13 years. And it was safe. I had a really good pension. I had a really good salary. I had health benefits. I had everything you could possibly think of in a job. No redundancy policy. I mean, who does that these days? So I was in the safest place ever, and I've made a decision to get out, because there's too many people that I need to share yoga and movement with, and I need those 2.5 days in order to build my businesses, my yoga business and the candle business, which is kind of a new starter. But my absolute passion lies in helping others build themselves physically, mentally, and emotionally. And that's where my heart lies. Yeah. So I officially finish on the 31st of March. So I only work part-time, 2.5 days. I've got 7 days left in work. I'm petrified. I'm absolutely petrified. My biggest fear is that I can't pay my mortgage and my bills, and I love my house. But then I seriously do put a massive trust in myself and a massive trust in the universe. And as my dad says, I work my ass off. I will not get complacent. I will not kind of just expect things. I will continue to work to make sure that I can pay my bills and pay my mortgage. The good thing about it is that it's doing something I absolutely love, like hand on heart love. So yeah, I am really scared, and I'm expecting. I've taken a week off from teaching at the start of April because I am expecting like a bit of a meltdown to land. Whether it'll land, I don't know, but I'm kind of preparing for it just in case. I'm looking at signing up to quite an in-depth educational course at the end of March in the hope that that will give me something to keep me distracted and focused on to prepare for that meltdown. But yeah, I'm really excited. I am really excited, and I just hope to God that I can do it. Like, it's not that I don't believe in failure, although that scares the hell out of me when I think, what if I do fail? I also think from failure comes a lot of lessons. I don't even use the word fail. I just think you learn. Something doesn't go to plan. It's not you failing. You've learned not how to not do something. So yeah,
I like that. Yes, and you won't fail. You won't fail because you have a gift, and you're bringing that gift to others in service to others. And Michelle's backing me up here. She's thank you for your interactions this evening, Michelle. She says the universe rewards leaps of faith because they show commitment to manifesting the dream. And I think that's doubly true, or infinitely more true, when it's our passion and it's bringing something to the world that the world needs, which is definitely more yoga and movement.
Yeah.
And also,
it's a dream. It's a dream.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And Michelle's saying that these times are perfect for setting up a business because it's a transitional time, and decisions about change make more sense. Yes, everything and everyone is changing all of the time. Any businesses that focus on helping others is bound to thrive. Yes, yeah. So you've basically taken the words out of my mouth there, Michelle. Thank you. And you will rock because you're doing business from the heart. Yes, Michelle has a group called the Mindful Entrepreneurs Group. If you're not in it already, that's the place for you to be. Thank you.
She's like such a positive, shining light all the time. Just knowing that she's there leaving comments, I'm like, oh, Michelle's here.
Wonderful. Great stuff. So there's a couple more things that I wanted to say, and then I'll hand over to you for any kind of final words as we come towards the end here, Kate. So first of all, again, when we spoke the other week, you said words to the effect of no matter how much help you get, there's only one person that can do it. You need to do the change yourself. You need to work through it yourself. And it sounds to me like you're a very strong, resilient person. You have decided that I am going to take this thing on, and it's not a battle. It's about embracing it and finding strategies to cope with it. And you've had that support around you as well, but you did the work.
Yeah. The bottom line is you can only do it yourself. And even though I've got an amazing community, an amazing network around me, that like I seriously love these people. I love the bones of these people. They can't fix me. They can't help me manage my mental health long term. They can be there to talk to, absolutely. They can help me ride waves of uncertainty and moments of difficulty, but I did not want to let my mental health ruin my life. And at times I thought my life was in ruins, and I thought, I do not want this to be a permanent fixture. So hence why I did all the education and built that toolbox up, because there is only you that can really do it. You've got the support, yes, but even you have got to take on that support, or you have got to take on the information that's given by that support. If you choose not to take on that information that's being given out by somebody, don't expect to get better. So it's a really hard one, because I do have a lot of people reach out to me, and I give out advice, and sometimes it's really frustrating that I'm like, do you want to live like this for the rest of your life? If you genuinely don't want to live like this for the rest of your life, you will take any piece of advice and you will try it. You'll just give it a go and see if something works. So if someone comes to me and says, I'm going through this, and I'll go, try yoga. Just come sit through a class, and if 15 minutes in you don't like it, try it. If they don't try it, I'm like, okay, what else can I help with? Okay, read this book, or try breathing, or try meditation, or do that, or go and speak to your doctor about medication. If they don't take any of that, I'm a bit like, do you even want to get better? To me, even though I'm dishing out the advice and the ideas, you have to take it. You have to take that to help yourself. So yeah, I've got the support, I've got the people around me, but it definitely came down to me to not want this to take over my life, to take on the advice, the information, to go away and educate myself, and to build up that toolbox.
Yeah, brilliant. So yeah, it's empowering, and it's about taking personal responsibility. And yeah, I think it can be frustrating when there are people around us who are experiencing mental health issues, or any kind of issues in life. And perhaps as external observers, we can see what they need to do. But any amount of steering and advice, I try and steer away from advice myself, as due to my profession. But anything that we offer them, it's that old phrase, isn't it? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And people have to be ready, willing, and able to go there, because it is a hard road, you know, with any mental health issue. It's a hard road to overcome it. If you're going back into your childhood, for example, and doing psychotherapy, it's hard to do that trauma work, that healing work, and to open up Pandora's box, or cans of worms, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
But it's the brave route, and it's the courageous route that you've taken as well. And it's very empowering, but it's totally understandable that a lot of people don't want to go there, and they'll just sweep it under the carpet because they're not ready, they're not willing, they're not able.
And I get that as well. Like, you're not ready. I get that. I absolutely get. That's why I say about when people ask me, oh, what books do you recommend? And I'm like, don't read a book now. You're not in the right place to read a book. You're not even going to take in the first chapter. Try something simpler. Go out for a walk. See how it makes you feel. Be a bit more present. Or even like notice your thoughts. Like, what's going on in your mind? What is your head saying to you? Like, actually listen to what your mind is saying, even though it's saying something awful. Just stop and listen and observe. And is what your mind's saying really true? Talk it out with somebody. My mind is saying this. And sometimes you'll get that answer back from somebody where you'll go, oh my God, you're so right. Yeah, my mind's talking absolute rubbish. And it's just trying. It's trying. I tried as many things as I possibly could. And I've tried stuff and I thought that doesn't work for me. There was certain CBT methods that I just thought that is not going to work, and it never has done. So I won't try it again. But then there's other methods that I've tried that have worked. So it's different for individuals. And I would just say try. Mm. If you want to feel better, you'll try anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And Michelle again is saying we have to be very careful not to be evangelical, a bit like ex-drinkers and smokers who take permission to stop everybody else. Give people what they want, then give people what they need.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a massive believer in just listening, just being someone who just listens and lets somebody tell you how they're feeling or what they're thinking, and just listen. Sometimes that is enough. On the other side of it, just sitting there and letting somebody talk to you about how they're feeling or what kind of moment they've had, that sometimes can be enough for them to then go away and take the next step or try something else. So yeah, it's different for everybody. It's so different for everybody. And again, depending on what you actually suffer with, it you know, a different choice could be dependent on whether you suffer from depression or PTSD. It is, to me, it's just about finding something that works for you, that makes you feel that little bit better, and don't expect miracles. So don't expect to come to, so I say when people come to yoga class, I'm like, don't expect miracles. Like, don't expect to come to me for an hour and then suddenly have this major vision that life is amazing. And like, because that doesn't often happen. You might feel okay at the end of a class and think, oh yeah, I quite enjoyed that, that's all right. But it might be months later when you look back and go, oh, actually, things have changed a little bit here. So do not expect miracles with anything that you try.
Wonderful. Yeah. So, Kate, you're a great advert for yoga and movements. You're a great advert for talking. You're a great advert. I mean, so much of what you said is what we say on our mental health first aid courses. So much of your approach is the same as what we talk about in counselling and psychotherapy. So yeah, you have the Pathlight seal of approval, and a lot of gratitude to you for being here. I'm not sure who this is from, but thank you for sharing there. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, no, it's been wonderful. And I wonder, how has it been for you, given that the hour leading up to us going live was waves of anxiety? How has it actually been for you, not just from an anxiety perspective, but just talking about your experience?
Yeah, I feel all right. I'm quite surprised I got emotional, to be honest. But I don't know if that was just a bit of a surge of energy after my build-up of anxiety today. So that was probably just a bit of energy being released. I feel all right. I feel calm. I've really enjoyed it. And I'll probably go away, as always, and think, oh, I should have said this, or I should have said that. But it's one of those things, isn't it? Hindsight is a wonderful thing.
Perfectionistic tendencies coming in there, maybe, Kate.
Oh God, I'm so trying to shake them off. I'm getting better. They just sneak in occasionally.
Well, you are human after all.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to end on quite a flippant note, because I had to stifle laughter earlier on because it would have been totally inappropriate. But when you were telling your tale of before, when you were at college and you used to go out of an evening and get leathered, you'd be sick before you went out.
Before,
and that's exactly what I thought. I thought that's the complete opposite of me. I used to get leathered and then throw up afterwards, usually the next day, to be fair. But yeah, those are my drinking days. So yeah, wonderful. So is there anything else that you'd like to share before we end, Kate?
I don't think so. My probably three biggest takeaways from my experience so far, and like I say to you, I still very much expect my mental health to throw curveballs at me over the next few weeks, months, years. I, hand on heart, do not believe I'm cured. But I know that every time something is thrown at me, I will learn. And I have already proven that everything that is thrown at you only makes you get stronger. So my three, I'm not even going to say three, my biggest takeaways are probably education and learning, and finding out for myself what was wrong with me or what was going on with me. That was a big thing. Acceptance is huge, because I think then once you've accepted it, you can then look at the bigger picture. And that's probably then what helped me kind of go, I'm actually thankful for what I've experienced because of the person it's made, it's the person it's created, and also hopefully the career ahead of me that my mental health issues have brought. Like, would I have ever become a yoga teacher? I genuinely don't know. And talking, I love to talk. I talk a bit too much, I think. Even in my classes, I try and think to myself at the start of a class, don't talk too much today. And it just never happens. But just talk. And I am totally reachable. And anyone can reach out to me, whether I haven't got a clue who you are or whether you're a really good friend. I am totally open to talking about mental health. I love talking about it, to be honest. So yeah, I'm always reachable.
Wonderful. And on that note, you can connect with Kate at sassyoga.co.uk and on Instagram and probably all other forms of social media, I'm guessing. Sass Yoga and Wellbeing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Give it a go, folks. Try out some yoga if you haven't before.
I'm not a traditional yoga teacher, though, by the way. I'm a little bit quirky than the rest.
That does not surprise me.
Oh, no.
Quirky's good.
I'm a little bit brutal and mean as well, actually, according to a lot of people. I can be quite mean.
Well, people need to go beyond their comfort zone, as you have done. Yes. So somebody wishing you good luck with your new enterprises.
Thank you so much. That's much appreciated. Thank you. I need it. I need as much luck as possible.
You know what? I don't think you do. Yeah. So somebody was wishing you good luck on the Facebook page earlier on, and I thought, I don't think Kate needs luck, actually.
God. I say a lot of things about luck, and some of my closest friends come to me and go, you don't need luck, you work too hard for luck to even show up. So fingers crossed I can continue with my work ethic, working for myself rather than somebody else, which would be quite nice.
Yeah, so best wishes with that, Kate, and thank you once again for being here and for sharing your experiences so openly, sharing your wisdom, which I fully rubber stamp. And yeah, best wishes for the future. And thank you everyone else for your interactions this evening as well.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel really privileged. I've already told you, I really, really appreciate you asking me. And you've majorly got me out of my comfort zone as well. So I quite like that as well. Thank you. And thanks for everyone for joining us.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, Kate, so I'm going to put you back in the green room for a couple of minutes. If you need to get off, that's absolutely fine. Or if you want to stay behind and we can have a post-show conversation, we can do that. So thanks again, and see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you.
There we go, folks. That was Kate Sassinelli, and I'm going to give another shout out to Gino Sassinelli and all of Kate's family for supporting her like the rocks you are. Kate said that she doesn't tell Gino enough how much she appreciates him. So perhaps after the show, she will come and do so. And you, whoever you are, if there's somebody in your life who is your rock, who has supported you through some tricky times, or maybe is doing so right now, maybe go and tell them. Go and tell them how much you appreciate them. Wonderful stuff. Okie doke. I enjoyed that. I hope you did too. And if you would like to buy me a coffee, you can do so at, what is it called again? buymeacoffee.com/thrivehive. Drop me £3 if you want. I will not buy a coffee. I will buy a banana loaf. Or you can subscribe, is the word I was looking for £7 a month and get lots of lovely benefits. It's all on that page if you can be bothered looking at it. And yeah, if you feel that there's other people who would benefit from what's going on here, invite them in. And if you want to come and be a guest as well, drop me a message if you want, if you've got something to share. We've all got a story to share, haven't we? We've all had our challenges, and maybe you can inspire people, as Kate, I'm sure, has done this evening. Inspire, educate, raise awareness, connect, all of that good stuff. Wonderful. Okay, so just a trailer for Tuesday. I have, no, is it Monday? I think it's Monday. It's Monday. Monday next week, we've got Carl Dillon coming in. I've just hastily arranged it and posted about it on Pathlight Thrive Hive. If you're watching on YouTube, by the way, go to Facebook and join Pathlight Thrive Hive if you want to catch these live. So Carl Dillon is coming in on Monday at 8:30, not 8 o'clock, 8:30. He's going to talk about addiction and recovery. And there's a lot of themes that Kate brought up today around personal responsibility and doing your own work that Carl is a massive advocate for. He's got a very inspiring tale of his gambling addiction or compulsion, and how he has recovered and what he's learnt from himself through that very inspiring but very challenging process. So please do join us for that 8:30 on Monday if you can. If you can't be here live, you can always catch up on the Facebook group, or you can find it on my YouTube channel. And there's a bit.ly link there, which if you've got a piece of paper, you can scribble down and go to Pathlight Limited on Facebook, not Facebook, YouTube. And there's, God and Bennett, it's probably about 150 chats on there now, and lots of wisdom and lots of useful stuff, which you can catch up on anytime you want. Okay, that's it. Enough from me. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your interactions. Go well, and now go and tell somebody who's a rock that they're a rock. Okay, take care, folks. Bye-bye.